Again, we're back. Another Great American Craft beer review with Kyle. I've got one more tonight. Nightcapper, certainly. I've drank two delicious, and I mean, just hard to describe. Just perfect pumpkin ales. The Hoppin' Frog takes the trophy for me. Get that light out of the way for being the whiskey barrel. But the Fathead Spooky Tooth, my God, that is just phenomenal. 9%, no warming. Just two great breweries. Fatheads and Hoppin' Frog, Northeast Ohio. I've got one now that I want to try, and always gonna have haters. Not saying this. I just read the Untapped reviews of this beer. It's 4.26, which is really, really good. Anything above a 4. 3.75 is a good beer. If you have an overall score of a 3.75, you're doing very well. 4, you're doing really well. And then 4 and above, you're doing just great. And this is 4.26. It's a new release from one of my favorite stout companies. Now, this company, I've drank several IPAs, several wheat beers, several wit beers, several other beers from them. Bourbon barrel aged stouts. They might be the best company in the country for bourbon barrel aged stouts, and that's saying a lot. Maybe better than Listener or even Hoppin' Frog. What is it, you might ask? It is the Clown Shoes Brewing Company, folks. There it is. I've done several Clown Shoes reviews. This is a new one that came out. The Exorcism of Rich Ackerman. Now look at this artwork very closely. It's Rich Ackerman in a chair, like tied up with like snakes and just zombies. Got a nun there with a hot. This is just, the artwork here. The artwork sells. I mean, it does. And I'm collecting Clown Shoes bombers. Not only are they kick-ass, elite, world-class stouts, but the artwork is just super cool. Look at this. Got the nun there with a Rich Ackerman. I mean, how cool is this? It's just kick-ass. Gonna try this. I saw it at Junker Gems, and they got it in new, and it's a new beer. It was bottled on, I think that says 9/7. We're not even a month in, 3 months now. Or 3 weeks. Some people would say let this age. I think drink beer fresh. I know. I'm a big component when I say, I'll just want a couple more minutes here. I don't mean to ramble, but I don't know. I like aging beers for reviews and conversation and just, talk. And it is cool to review some of the big releases, the KBS, the Shirley's, the Bourbon Counties, and some of these big name stouts that are one-year releases. But because I tried 3 or 4, the only one I really liked was the Weyerbacher that was on draft that was 2 years old. I had a KBS that was aged, and then there was another one I tried that was aged out of a bottle, and I don't think either one of them, to me, were great. They were thin. You still had the bourbon, but the flavors, the shot. That's the thing. The bourbon's going to hold for 3 to 5 years. The shock with the coffee, the cocoa nibs that are in this, that's not going to last, maybe 6 months. Anything over a year. It's not going to be like an IPA where it's bad for 3 weeks to maybe 2 months, but those flavors dissipate within 3 to 6 months, maybe 6 months max. But the bourbon will hang on, and I don't know. Cameron and Mark both said the KBS was fire. I thought it was okay. But this drink beer fresh. I'm not saying I'm not again, look, I'm not trying to argue. I'm not against aging beers. I love aging beers. I love conversation, and again, good talk with people. But yeah, there's the weather outside here. Some rain moving in. How about that? Such a beautiful Monday. But anyway, let's get to it here. I want to read the label before I get the pour. It says, the life of human resource director ain't easy for Rich Ackerman with 300 beer staff members afloat in his Balwick, most of whom hate him. By the way, things are going wrong. Here we find him apologetic and possessed. Demons and foul creatures are scurrying from beneath the desk within his tiny little work spot. Be gone, oh hell spawn. Leave our buddy Rich alone. We need him to get back to work. My God, it's just crazy. So this is an American Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coffee, vanilla beans, and cocoa nibs. Now it's been on about 10 minutes. It was not completely, I think it was about 37 degrees. It's been in the freezer, in the fridge. Still chilled. I mean, you don't want these beers really cold. I would say in the 40s. You don't want them like piss warm or nuke warm, but certainly you want them to the point where it's going to be more warmer than cold. And let's get that cap up here. I had a problem with that last release there, trying to get that off. I'm going to start collecting these Clown Shoes bottles. I really am. The cap's really cool. Ipswich, Massachusetts. Now, again, I spent a lot of money on Clown Shoes beers. I don't regret it. I do think I need to stop because $15 a week is a lot. The beer is worth $15. I'm going to tell you that. It really is. And I'm not saying that I've regretted drinking these beers because each time I drink a Clown Shoes Barrel Aged Stout, I'm more impressed with the next one. And the reviews I'm reading, I'm going to be more impressed with this. I thought the last two that I drank, Seriously, we're Flight of the Angry Beast. Or no, Very Angry, excuse me. There's 85 of these. Bear with me. Very Angry Beast, unbelievable. Just straight Russian Imperial Bourbon Stout. My God, great. 4.25, 4.5. Then I drank Breakfast Exorcism, which was just even better because it had that coffee breakfast, just vanilla, just stupid. And that was better than Very Angry Beast. And both of those are just, if this is better than that, I just want to cry because it's really unbelievable. But again, 15 bucks a pop for these bombers. And then I lost a bet because my Wolverines choked like they always do. My pussy Wolverines lost to Notre Dame. And I had to give Cameron Pritchard a bomber. And I told him I'd get him a clown shoes bomber. He's not really had a lot of clown shoes. And you know, he wanted to try this. And I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and get it to him. So I gave it to him. And he hasn't had it yet. It was actually, I gave him the Flight of the Angry Beast. That's where I got the fight. But let's get a pour here on the Rich Exorcism of Rich Ackerman. Let's get it going, folks. Cheers. Well, let's get a pour first. Let's say cheers. Yeah, let's see how dark it is. Freshly rinsed glass. Let's see how dark this beer is. The one thing that seems darker than most. My God, that's darker than the other two. That is like a ruby, almost like a ruby stout color. This just came out. Like I said, bottled 3 weeks ago. That's gonna be good on that. Oh, good Lord. The color. You know what? It looks like a little different color than the other two. Now, I will say this before I even drink it. That Clown Shoes barrel-aged stouts are thin. That's not a bad thing. I think it's actually great because, A, it stands out from the other 80 breweries that use the heavy bourbon, heavy barrel-aged, just thick whiskey, thick bourbon. 2, they still have significant and great flavor. I've never had a Clown Shoes beer that they are thinner than most, and I agree, but that's a good thing because it's unique, first of all. It's not the same as the other 80 breweries that are just brewing these heavy bourbon, heavy whiskey. And it still has kick-ass flavor. If there was no flavor and it was just weak water, then I would complain. But it's unique and it's great. So there's the beer here. Look, the head dissipated fairly quick. There's a little bit of head there in a chocolate color. Get a quick aroma. I don't know. Tell you what, you're getting a little bit of hints of bourbon, some coffee. Bourbon and coffee, a little bit of vanilla. I tell you what, not saying this is a bad sign, but I will say there's not a ton of aroma in this beer compared to the other two. I don't know if that's just because I've had 2 pumpkins earlier in the nose, or if it's just, excuse me, definitely bourbon, coffee. What did it say was what did it say this beer was brewed with? This beer was brewed with. It says American Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coffee, vanilla beans, and cocoa nibs. Now, cocoa nibs are expensive. I had a buddy that was brewing. He was telling me he's brewing a vanilla Imperial Stout. The cocoa nibs are like $8 for like this big a strain. He was telling me expensive. Let's thank the brewers at Clown Shoes. Always do a fine job. Never had a bad beer. In fact, never had anything under a great beer. Just excellent company. Excited to try this one. And cheers to you Monday night. Broncos Chiefs tonight. Playoff baseball. Cheers. Alright. This one's a little more, I don't know what to say. I'm not wowed by this on that first sip that I was with the other two. However, I failed to mention the beer's 11.5%. Aged in bourbon barrels. 11.5% high ABV. I will say it's smooth, but the bourbon, it's still thin. But maybe it's the kind of coffee they use in this because it's roastier. And I'm getting that a lot with some beer. Not saying it's bad. This is still definitely a good beer. Flavored crab. You see some lacing there. Some carbonate. Still a nice. Look at the glass lacing. But it feel like it's just not as smooth as some of the other ones. That could be the kind of coffee they're using. The different types of barrels. Perhaps, as Ferb was saying, different malts, different barrels. Definitely getting a good coffee flavor. I will say the coffee is very prevalent and up front. I like the coffee aroma and flavor. Definitely a lot of coffee. I don't get a lot of vanilla on this. Gotta say, I don't know. I'm not gonna sound disappointed yet. American Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coffee, vanilla beans, and cocoa nibs. And it is warm. I mean, it's been out here 15 minutes. It was not even ice cold when I poured it out, so I don't think that's the issue. Let's get another sip here. Maybe it's me drinking the other two pumpkin beers. I mean, this is certainly very drinkable. Bourbon. I don't get a lot of barrel aged flavoring in this one. And this, I don't know. I can't really. I don't want to say I'm. It's fair because I did drink the two pumpkins. I get a lot of coffee, some roasted malts, a hint of vanilla beans. Just not blown away by this, but I still think it's 3.75, probably a 4 when it's all said and done. It's still very nice. Look at the lazy. I mean, this is still a good beer. I mean, I certainly am not going to knock this beer at all. I think the problem is, and this is what I said with Urban Artifact locally, I've said this with a lot of breweries. If I drink 3 or 4 beers from a brewery that are just 4.5, 4.25, that are just extremely elite, just out of this world, then you drink a really good beer like this probably is, and it comes down a bit. And so that's the thing. I don't want anybody to think this is a really a good beer. I think it's actually a damn good beer because I get a lot of coffee, roasted malts in here. And again, 11.5. I just don't get a lot of bourbon in this one. I don't get much barrel-aged flavor in this. That's lacking that. And then also, not a lot of vanilla, cocoa nibs. You know, there were 2 Quantrics beers that I drank. The barrel had more flavor and also just more flavor. This is lacking bourbon. This is lacking barrel flavor and also just lacking. The coffee is the biggest feature in this beer. Heavy coffee, heavy malts. All right. Tell you what, that sip warmed a bit. I might have to pause this and let it sit for a couple minutes. That sip was a little better, 2 or 3 minutes in. I got a little more vanilla, some cocoa nibs on that, but it's still lacking barrel flavor. You know, I wanted to maybe let this sit. I got an NHL hockey draft coming up in about 3 minutes. It is still lacking some barrel flavor that a lot of other clown shooters have. I still think it's going to be a 4. Good coffee, good malts. I still think it's flavored. It's a good beer, and because I love clown shoes. So, life's short, my friends. I got to ramble on. I got to go. It's 12 minutes. Try this out, the Exorcism of Rich Ackerman. I'm giving it Exorcism of Rich Ackerman. Going to give it a quarter point for the artwork, and because I love every other clown shoes beer. I do have to say I'm a little disappointed. I'm not saying it's a bad beer. I'll definitely try it. I think it's good, but again, like I said, sometimes you set the bar so high that you drink a beer from a brewery and it just kind of, and it's nothing this beer, it's not that this beer's bad, it's just you've had such good stuff. But again, no barrel flavoring was the biggest disappointment for me in this. Good coffee flavor, good malts. I mean, it's a good beer. I'd say 3.75, 4. In between there, Untapped don't have that, but I'm probably going to go 4 based on the warming a bit here. But I was going to do it tonight. So good night, folks. Monday night. Thanks for being with us, and cheers, everybody. And try this beer if you like clown shoes. They're not the best offering for me, but still a good beer nonetheless, worth a shot. See you guys.